As we all know, COVID-19 has messed up international travel, which is why the Toronto Blue Jays played their home games in Buffalo this season and the Toronto Raptors trained in Florida before the NBA bubble. Adam Silver is going to avoid playing out the entire 2020-21 NBA season in Orlando's bubble at any cost. It is known he wants to play out next season in front of fans in a limited capacity. So what will all this mean for the Toronto Raptors next season? Well, it's looking like the Raptors will have to play their home games in the United States instead of their home fans in Toronto next season because the Canadian health officials won't allow any American sports team over the border to play their games on Canadian land. This of course is all very sensible considering the United States haven't handled the outbreak too well, and the Canadians don't want to risk an outbreak sparked by American athletes and their staff crossing the border over and over again across an entire season. So where exactly will the Raptors play then? According to rumors and sources out there, it apparently has been narrowed down to roughly 3 to 5 cities. In this video, we will go over each option and discuss why I believe Seattle would be the best option, not just for the Raptors, but for the league, and what I think that would mean for Seattle in terms of them getting their Sonics back in their city. But before we get into it, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the like button, and remember to turn on the bell notification so you can check out my new content as it comes out. Also, feel free to comment down below. I do try and respond to everyone the first few days the video is up. So let's get right into it. Buffalo's Keybank Center, which is the home of NHL's Buffalo Sabres, makes the most sense if we're simply talking about proximity, as it's the closest American city to Toronto. Buffalo at one point actually had their own team when they had the Buffalo Braves, which later relocated to San Diego in 1978, and then changed their name to the Clippers and then again moved to Los Angeles in 1984. Buffalo did successfully host the Blue Jays and could do the same thing here. They may even have some legit Raptors fans in the crowd as well, because Buffalo is actually closer to Toronto than the New York teams. But I can see there being scheduling problems considering the Raptors would be sharing the stadium with the Sabres in this scenario, and the NHL schedule has not yet been announced. Playing in Buffalo could be a good opportunity to recruit new fans to the Raptors, but we just don't know what kind of appetite Buffalo will have for NBA basketball in terms of getting people to come to games. The Raptors apparently also spoke with the operators of the Prudential Center in Newark about using their 19,500 seat arena. The Prudential Center was actually used in the past when it was a stopgap home arena for the Nets for 2 seasons prior to their Brooklyn move. This may be the NBA's preference, considering its close proximity to all of the Raptors' division foes. It's only about 15 miles from Madison Square Garden and the Barclays Center, super close to Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Center, which is about a 90-minute drive, and Boston would be just 225 miles north, and Washington, D.C. would only be about 220 miles south. This proximity could be a massive help to reduce travel, and it will be on the same time zone as Toronto. This may seem like the most logical option overall, but it does have its flaws. There will most likely be a lack of enthusiasm for the Raptors by most estimates, and Newark isn't the best residence for NBA players or staff. Not to mention there's currently a COVID surge in Newark at the moment. The next option is Louisville, which makes some sense, and it is considered a finalist to host the Raptors at the KFC Yum Center, which has the second largest capacity for basketball games in the NCAA and can fit about 22,000 people. Louisville has tried to land an NBA team in the past, and I could see them taking a page out of the Oklahoma City playbook. Because of Hurricane Katrina, the New Orleans Hornets, now the Pelicans, split time between OKC and New Orleans in the 2005-06 and 2006-07 seasons. This, as we all know, opened the doors for OKC to land the Thunder. There is also an appetite for college basketball games in Louisville, but we again don't know if fans will turn up for Raptors games considering there isn't a natural Raptors fan base. The option that I personally would like to see happen, and that I believe would simply be the best option for the Raptors and the NBA, is if they play their games in Seattle, which was the ex-home of the Seattle Supersonics. Climate Pledge Arena, formerly known as Key Arena, has undergone renovations and will become the home of the NHL's newest expansion team, the Seattle Kraken, who are expected to hit the ice in 2021. As most fans know, their beloved Sonics were stolen from underneath them and moved to Oklahoma City and turned into the Thunder. Seattle nearly did the same thing to Sacramento Kings fans when the Kings came super close to relocating to Seattle less than a decade ago. Seattle still does have their WNBA team, which won 2 championships out of the last 3 seasons, but the NBA is what fans want. This is a basketball-starved city, and I believe people will come to Raptors home games next season. I also just think they'll be delighted and grateful that the Raptors chose their city, because this will strengthen their cause to get the Sonics back to Seattle one day. It will also be great for the Raptors, as they will have enthusiastic fans in the seats cheering for them. The Raptors can turn into the interim NBA team fans in Seattle will root for until they get their own team back. The only real issue I can think of is that the time zone won't be aligned with Toronto, as it is located in the Pacific time zone, which is 3 hours behind Toronto in their Eastern time zone. Raptors fans may have to stay up past midnight to finish games. Also, I get that it will be tough for the Raptors to face their division foes or Eastern Conference teams, but the NBA will need to make an exception under the current circumstances, and perhaps have the Raptors play more of their games in the Northwest and Pacific divisions. I think having the Sonics and their rich history back in the NBA will only be great for the league, and Seattle has an enthusiastic fan base. An expansion team isn't anywhere close to the horizon, but there have been some prospective ownership groups who have met with NBA officials and are under the impression that an expansion team may not happen until roughly 2025 or 2026 at the very earliest, when a new TV deal can be negotiated. So there is some hope in that department. Another scenario is if some other city can't hold on to their NBA team, in which case Seattle ownership groups may have to face the fact that their arena isn't on par with other NBA arenas, and would likely have to build a new arena if they want to outbid other suitors. I believe though that Seattle ownership groups would be willing to build a new arena, as this will allow them to capture new revenue, the same way the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer and the Warriors owners are doing with their privately financed arenas. This is all why Chris Hansen, who came deadly close to buying the Sacramento Kings with the intentions of moving them to Seattle, is still planning to construct his own privately financed arena in the SoDo district of Seattle near the football and baseball stadiums. The plan is that it would make a potential NBA team the primary tenant, which will make it more attractive for the NBA. In the meantime, Seattle citizens can cheer for the Raptors, which will ultimately put Seattle back on the map and add some urgency to returning the Sonics to their city. Seattle, in turn, can be a nice foster city that can give the Raptors a boost for the 2020-21 season. What do you guys think? Where should the Raptors play next season in the event that they cannot play in Toronto? Do you think the Raptors playing in Seattle will help Seattle's cause to get the Sonics back to their city? And do you want to see the Sonics back in the NBA? Let me know in the comment section. And once again, if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the like button. Till the next one, guys, I'm out.